This is Adomako Man, and you are tuning in to the Producing Peace podcast, a podcast that celebrates the vibrant tastemakers shaping NYC's cultural landscape. From artists to activists, we spotlight individuals driving positive change and shaping the future of our city. I'm sitting with a multidisciplinary artist known for his captivating work. Featured on the Out 100 list, has graced the pages of Nylon and the New York Times. He's collaborated with artists such as Dylon Burnside, Miss Lawrence, Duran Bernard, Raquel Willis, and partnered with brands such as Scotch and Soda and Puma. An author, having published the compelling coffee table book, Our Light Through Darkness. As a visual director, he shapes narratives and challenges perceptions with his unique vision, making him a true tastemaker in the artist world. I'm glad to be sitting with LaQuann Dawson.
Hi.
Hello. That was a mouthful.
It definitely was.
And you're still so young, and there's still so much more for you to accomplish. Like, what do you feel so far, like hearing some of your accomplishments being said to you?
I don't, sometimes with stuff that I've done in the past, I guess it gets left there, and then I need more and more distance from it to kind of appreciate it more and more. But I guess I haven't really thought about any of those things you listed that frequently or like heavily of recent. So it feels like a little bit of like a reminder of some stuff that I have done that I should be proud about, and that has reached people and has reached you. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like your work is very intentional. You intentionally work in spaces that focuses on the LGBTQIA community, specifically Black people. And I believe that's amazing. How did you, I know you're originally from Ohio. Like, let's take it back to there. Like, what was it like growing up in Ohio to then getting to this point?
Growing up in Ohio, there's like a lot of space. It was like a very spacious place to live, to, like do cartwheels and run around outside and play hide and seek. I have a lot of brothers and sisters, and we like grew up adoring each other. My parents split when I was very, very young, but they're like still best friends to this day. And both of them very like supportive and affirming in all the ways that they knew how to be. So honestly, growing up, I had like a lot of freedom to express myself and to be an artist and to try different things out and stuff like that. The gay stuff was a little bit trickier, especially Ohio being like so rural. But yeah, growing up in Ohio, like I felt like I had like room to decide like who I wanted to be and then where to go afterwards. So it kind of was nice in that way. And again, the caveat being it wasn't very much of a queer space. It didn't feel super, super queer friendly, Ohio in general. So like eventually like I had to leave and just be like the fullness of this gay person that I wanted to be.
Do you think that it possibly has changed since you've left? Because
I definitely think that.
I feel like I constantly hearing about people going to Ohio. I used to hear that Cameron used to go to Ohio at one point.
Okay.
I know that the organizer who I actually interviewed, Kenny Javon from Dick Appointment, he's from Ohio. One of the guys from Bubble Tea, he's from Ohio too.
Oh shit.
But yeah, I feel like Ohio is just like taking over recently. Like literally, I'm going to interview a third person
from Ohio.
And
change the name.
And you guys are just coming into New York City, like changing the landscape of New York City. And so I wanted to know, like what attracted you to coming to New York?
Yeah.
And also, you said that you had. Well, before we even get into that, like you said, like from my understanding, you have like 5 other siblings.
I have 8 siblings.
8.
Yeah, I have 8.
Oh wow. And so, how many
There's
boys?
9,
how many girls?
There's 9 of us all together. There's 2 girls and 7 boys.
Oh wow.
Yep.
So was there like an element of having to like put on masculinity if there were so many men in the house or in your like family?
To a degree, yes, definitely. Like I never was like, oh, I need to be the man of the house one day or something like that. But I definitely couldn't be like as fluid or as feminine or as belly shirt as I like wanted to be all of the time. So I definitely had to like quiet it up because again, I did have like a lot of like freedom to be who I wanted to be, but there were a lot of like not too far. And so like going to college and leaving like home was really really like powerful for me because I even had more space and like less judgment that I cared about. Because I feel like I grew up was like pretty celebrated and like my accomplishments were pretty celebrated and like I felt very loved growing up even by like people that I didn't know and yeah, it just was like I was outgrowing it. I was outgrowing it. I'm like, okay, there's like more of me inside that like wants to come out, but I don't feel fully safe to come out here because y'all don't get it yet, and we're
Would
just
you
like
say
not
that
in
you
the
were
year yet.
would you say you were closer to like any of your siblings growing up because there were so many of you, or like you still felt like I gotta cover this part up, or
Hmm.
because for me, like my sister, I told my sister when I was real young,
Yeah.
so it
Uh,
was like like when there's so many, like you gravitate to one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted with my siblings. I really wanted it to be like an unspoken thing. I'm the oldest. I'm
Mm.
the oldest of all the kids.
Oh wow.
And so it wasn't really like about closeness because the other thing was I went to a different school than all of my siblings,
Hmm.
in a different city. So like I didn't really like have them in the halls to that kind of thing. Again, split parents, and we have some different parents, but
Hmm.
yeah. So for me, I just wanted it to be like I am who I am. Like I don't really need to have like a whole discussion with y'all about it. And I never actually have. I never came out to my siblings. Um, Not like I came out to my parents formally at some point, but never to my siblings. And they never like made fun of me about it or called me a fag or anything like that. Um, it was more like it was more societal, and it's more like me being afraid of like my dad like not wanting me anymore or like not knowing how to deal with it or something like that. I was like, once I'm able to pay all my own bills completely, like phone bill included, like then I'll come out, like just in case.
Mm. Hmm.
And that's kind of what I did. Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah, I
I
did wait.
mean, you that's something that you and I have in common. Like my mom and my parents, to a degree, celebrated more or less. My mom,
Hmm.
my dad too, in different ways. Like we grew up being told that we were queens and kings. My sister actually name is Queen.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it's nice to hear like like our experience of like not having to be attacked, or
Yeah.
because that is some people's experience, unfortunately. But it's nice to know that we can just like live.
Hmm.
But then you left, you because I think you went to college in Ohio too, and
Yeah, I
then
did.
you eventually came to New York.
Hmm.
What was that like? Like, what time period did that all happen?
I was in college from 2013 until 2016. I moved to New York. Um, College was amazing. Honestly, I loved college. Like I always honestly, I really always loved school and I loved being like around people. The people that I met in the dorm rooms were just some people who have impacted my life like very, very, very greatly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in just like many, many ways that I don't know where else I would have gotten that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad I got it from there. And so that was great. And people really liked me out there. Like I was like doing really really good in my classes, and then in my personal like work, like I was feeling very like creative and experimental, and it's just like running around shooting all the time. I had like a cool little crew of friends, so it was nice. But then at some point, I was like, okay, gotta go. Like, I had wanted to come to college in New York originally, and I got accepted into the schools that I wanted to go to, but we couldn't afford it, so I ended up having to go to the cheaper school in Ohio, my safety school, which ended up being a really, really great school. But once I got the opportunity to come out here and work and get paid way more than I was getting paid working in Ohio, I was like, okay, I'm coming, and they like almost doubled the pay that they were paying me after like my 3 month internship was over. They're like, we'll give you a job here and you stay here. And then I stayed there and I worked there for a year and I never went back.
Where were you?
I went back to Ohio to get my luggage and stuff, but
Mm.
and then I moved it all down here. I worked at a company called TKO Evolution where we used to design like clothes that you would buy from like TJ Maxx or Marshalls or something.
Uh,
And then after that, I worked at Calvin Klein for a year, designing handbags and like backpacks and accessories and stuff with them. And then after that, I kind of like flew off into my own thing and stopped and like left corporate like permanently.
that is that is so funny. Only just because the next person I'm interviewing is literally from Ohio and
Hmm.
works at Calvin Klein.
Really? Oh shit! And that's so funny.
That's like so
Uh
funny.
huh.
Um, but one thing before we continue to dive deep into New York,
one thing that I like picked up on you is that at one point you're like someone that you was dating in Ohio was like the president of like a club or something like
Yeah.
that. So did you ever feel like I'm like the first lady? Like
Yo.
was ever that like a fantasy you had in your mind?
We didn't start dating until I moved to New York.
Okay.
We moved to New York kind of around the same time and just kind of, fell into our thing. And it was really magical. It was really, really beautiful. And meeting, in Ohio at the school was, it like opened me up to some things. Cause yeah, he was the president of the Black Student Union out there. And, it kind of just like gave me like a push toward activism, and it like gave me more stuff to do. Cause I used to design graphics for them. So now like what I do for MOBI in New York is pretty much what I used to do for Bus in Ohio, but like the grown up gay version. It's still all very like about my people. And it's still very like my responsibilities are like the visual part of the marketing part of it all, and like how to get people to come to the events. And so it was like an important step in my journey for sure.
So then how did you develop your ecosystem, as you call it?
Yeah. So after I stopped working at Calvin Klein, essentially, it was really hard for me to get a job. Like I couldn't find a job. Like honestly, like any application that I sent like would not get a response. Like I would send millions of fucking emails. It felt like with my resume and my portfolio and which all felt like pretty like solid work at the time and like impressive enough. And even like having Calvin Klein on my resume, and then in conjunction with like a great portfolio and like being well spoken and whatever, I could not get a job. I couldn't get nothing. So I did a couple like I worked retail for a little bit. I was a teaching artist for a bit. I worked on this play called As Much as I Can. Um, and around that time, me and my boyfriend at the time were searching for work. We were just like looking for jobs. So there was Out in Tech. And so there was Out in Tech, which was having a conference to help queer people get jobs in tech. And so we're like, oh, I want to go to this conference. And
how did you find out about that?
My boyfriend like was subscribed to like a lot of different email like things, and so opportunities would just like pop up with the email, and he's like, "Hey, email this organization MOBI that I've heard about," because they were partnering with Out in Tech, and he was like, "MOBI gave me a free ticket to go to this to the conference, so like email them to see if they have more free tickets." And so I emailed them like, "Hey, do you have like another free ticket to come to this thing? Like, I'm looking for work, yada yada." And they responded like, yeah, we have extra tickets, like no problem, but we also would love to set up like a meeting with you to talk to you about a festival that we're playing, and like we've been following your work for a minute and would love to like see how you could contribute to the festival, yada yada. And yeah, from there, and that's how I was introduced to MOBI. And then I took the meeting. They were all really really cool. They asked me like what ideas I might have like for the festival after they explained what it was. And they said maybe you could like do live painting or something like on a stage. And I'm like, I think painting takes a little bit longer than that for me. So I offered to do a short film. So that was my first time ever doing a short film. It was called A Study of Him, where it was just like a study of Black queer love. And they paid me almost $3,000 for doing that, which I thought I was doing it for free originally. So they gave me a check like during the event after my thing screen, and so that was pretty cool. And then from them they asked me to be on the team, and like I just have met so many people through my work at MOBI, and through like my personal work, and through like acquiring like other clients, and doing like other plays and shows and stuff like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, like it felt like it really saved my life because I was like struggling at the time before.
Wow. And so I guess like you just have like a deep love for the community of MOBI.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And also it just feels safer. Just like it just feels natural to be around like other Black queer people and brown queer people. It just feels safer. I don't feel like my jokes are being completely misunderstood all the time, or I don't feel like I'm annoying if I want to watch Beyonce videos like 10 in a row, or you know what I mean? I'm like, I just don't know that I can. It would be different, and it has been different in other places. And this where it feels like comfortable and safe. Yeah.
Did you go see her perform?
Yeah, I definitely went to her perform.
Like
it was nuts. It was nuts.
she's. You know what I've
And she's still going crazy.
I've put this whole manifesto in my head that she's our era of crack.
No, it's crazy.
Like,
no, it is a problem.
Because literally, like, during the 80s, it was like people were homeless. People were coming in because right now there's like a housing crisis.
This is crazy in comparison.
And then there was the crack epidemic, and people were addicted to crack, and people are addicted to her.
People are addicted to Beyonce. That is definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing.
Yeah. And so, like, back to MOBI, like, so I guess that formulated your relationship with Deshaun Usher.
Yep. Because Deshaun is the founder of MOBI, and he's one of my best friends, and just a beautiful, beautiful person who's touched so many lives, and has given so many opportunities, and he really like cares about us. Mm-hmm. And so the building of it has been just beautiful to be a part of and to witness as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the way how I met him was so interesting because I met him way before all of this was going on.
Yeah.
Like, I met Deshaun when he was doing like counseling work or something like that. And, you know,
he's been doing the work for a long time.
For a very long time.
He really has.
And he knew one of my other friends that I was then officially introduced to him. But I met Deshaun because I was, as an artist, you know, you're just figuring it out.
Yeah.
I would do like those random, like, I'm gay tests. And I did one of those, and he was the counselor.
Oh, shit.
And, like, I remember, I don't know if he remembers this or not, but I remember, like, I saw him, and then I just started, I don't know, I'm just, like, a personable person. So I just started telling him, I don't know if, like, something might have happened where I might have, like, gotten sick or something, and I just started telling him, like, oh, yeah, I got an STD or something like that, and then, like, I think maybe a week later, I saw him at another friend's event, and I was like, oh.
No, he's mixy. He knows a lot of people.
And this was way before MOBI, way before GLAAD, way before all of that. And so for a while, I was just seeing him around.
Yeah.
And I'm just
fairy godmother.
I'm like, oh my God, like, this is wild. So he's been, I mean, also too, he helped me screened when he was at the William F. Ryan Center when he was there.
Yeah.
So he's always been around. So it's amazing that, like, your work has made its way to him, and then you've began a relationship with MOBI. How would you describe your work? Is there a way to describe LaQuann Dawson's work?
There's a way, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure. Do I know the words? Maybe not right off top, but what I'm going for is something that is ethereal and powerful and also soft. Like very, very queer and also very Black. I am interested in erotic, so like it's pretty sexy as well. There's some words I would use.
Why would you say that, like, those are some of the things that have your interest? I mean, of course, you know, we're Black and queer, but I feel like there might be a little bit more to why you might have a relationship to those types of work.
Yeah. I grew up like pretty much like a big softie, and like always been pretty like very soft, and so I'm just naturally like attracted to things that feel like lovely or soft or sweet to me. So that is what I lean toward. Like smiles and like affection and stuff like that, and flowers and whatever, rose petals, all that shit. So I definitely like that a lot. And then just like I was saying, queer people make me feel safe, and I want to make them feel safe too. And so that's why that is the center of like my work and like of my life. And it has been for a while. One thing I'm like super grateful for with Deshaun, just like as you said, as an artist, like figuring yourself out, getting yourself together. He like took like a lot of chances on me and like gave me room to figure out who I was as a person, as an artist, as a creator, as a director, and still does. And like having that room where other people are like, you have to prove yourself. He's like, I believe you. Like just go figure it out, and then let me know if you need help or have questions or whatever. And that's like what our relationship is, and that's what I like. I also try to offer that to other people in my zone and in my world too.
I love that you said that queer, and I know you're speaking specifically towards like queer Black people, make you feel safe. Like, what does community look like for you? That is such a beautiful thing that you just said. I love that.
Yeah. Community looks like a listening ear. It looks like cheerleaders. It looks like you can do it. It looks like you've done it. It looks like those kind of reminders. It also looks like some tough love or some checking. Like it looks like laughing and like being soft. It looks like grace or forgiveness for not doing whatever like the other people like want you to do and that you weren't able to like do. It looks like those kind of things. I think of people in my community or who I'm in community with as people who are celebratory of each other and who like want to uplift and who ride for each other, and also who give each other space to be human and to make mistakes and to say the wrong thing sometimes, or to be late, or to be, taking care of yourself and prioritizing that sometimes, whatever that might look like.
Before we continue with our conversation, here's a clip from the film Peace.
You what? Always, and to the day I die.
One thing that we have in common is the fact that like we play with gender. For me, it feels so natural. I tell people all the time that I'm half woman. Literally just because I come from a woman and I come from a man, like it's just that literal. But really? I do identify as a man. I noticed that's something that you've taken on too. First of all, I wanted to know, why did you decide to when you cut your hair? I was like, oh my God, I'm alone. Why did you cut your hair?
You're never alone.
But why is that something that you, I guess, can you relate to that?
Can I relate to? Yeah. So first I cut my hair because I wanted it to be longer and it just wasn't growing, and I had got my ends cut and it miraculously was just shorter, and I waited for months to go by and it was just very much shorter. I had a thing where like if my hair was like in my face or out too much, I just needed to swoop it back. So like I just like had swooped my hair back so much and brushed it so much to where she was like, girl, I don't even know that curl anymore. So like my old curls were like I brushed them out, and I had it so long, and I had been wanting to buzz cut my hair for so long, like Willow Smith, like buzz cut and just like be fierce and hot or something. Like, can I pull it off? Do I have too many knots in my head? Like, are the people who are attracted to me gonna still be attracted to me if I cut my hair? And there was like all these things I was worried about, and then one day I just like woke up and I was like, I'm gonna just do it today, and I made an appointment for a couple hours from then, which ended up being 8 a.m. And I went, and this Black woman, her name is Kenchi. She just opened up a shop down the street. She was in a truck before. I went to her truck at 8 a.m. and she just cut it all off, and I didn't look at the floor. I didn't cry, and I just was like, it was gone.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I'm really happy that I did it. I have been missing it a little bit lately. And I will grow it out again eventually, and it'll be a lot more healthy, and it'll look like the fro that the people who didn't know me when I had like the healthy fro they can see that at some other point. But I was also nervous too, because I'm like, a big part of like my gender expression is also like what I do in my hair. I was trying a lot of different hairstyles. I had my box braids, I had my buns and ponytails, I had the Afro punk and like cool like sculptural hairstyles like for my birthday shoots. And so I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to do that anymore. Like, what will I do? Like, my hair is a big part of me. And I'm like telling myself, you will figure it out. You are a lot of personality and a lot of person in one body, and the hair is not gonna take that away. Like, it'll embolden me to try other things or be riskier in other ways. And luckily, I have found myself being able to still be feminine and sexy in similar ways that I was before, because I don't want to be just like boxed into like having to dress like a boy. Like, anytime like I wear like a long shirt, I'm like, ugh, like gender dysphoria like really gets me. I'm like, this isn't right. This is not right. Yeah, no, like that's why like almost all my shirts are cropped, because I'm like, this, you can't cut me off like this. Like, it just doesn't feel right. And
why do you feel like that is, or that's important to you to not be in that?
It just feels like I'm in a like, it feels like I'm playing dress up, like someone who I'm not. As opposed to like dressing like how I do dress and how I want to dress and how I do really feel on the inside. And the same with like, if I put on something that is like, that I feel is like overly feminine for me, I'm like I love a boot with a heel, But like a stiletto is like I can't really I won't feel good in my body with that. So like it's such a like a balance while still having like so much room to play. Like there's too far for me, and then there's like too far this way for me too.
That's I'm laughing because I identify so much to the same like sentiment.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, like people like for example, when I have this type of hair, people are like, "Are you transitioning?" And I'm like, "No,
no."
And I'm not non-binary. I'm a man,
right?
And I'm just I'm comfortable in my gender and challenging what that means to be a man.
Yeah, I feel that as well. Because I don't identify as non-binary. I do feel like I'm a man. And I do just like I like what I like. I'm drawn to what I'm drawn to, and like the things that are not for me, I'm not gonna like wear like a boxy suit. Like that's just not what I'm meant for.
I mean, another thing that we have in common, which I feel like I want to just touch base on, is the fact that we've collaborated with Don Christensen. How did that happen?
It was so long ago now. Like I don't even know, but I do remember shooting. We were at Hollywood Studios, which was this like membership based studio for like up and coming artists. They charged $300 a month, and you had 24-hour access and unlimited hours to the studio as long as it wasn't already booked per month. And that's really where like I got to practice and like do like a lot of like my work. I think with Don Christensen, I was working with the 10th magazine, and they had me shoot him in the studio there. I shot 2 projects that day. I was shooting this Coven project where I had like a bunch of gay boys dressed up like witches, pretty much, and it was cute and fun, and it was like we were experimenting and stuff. And then afterwards, I think honestly, in the middle of that shoot, I had to shoot some stuff for Don Christensen in the 10th magazine as well. Because both were going to go toward that publication. And he's just like a lovely, lovely person who cares about people in a really, really incredible way. I've like seen him, like I bike around the city a lot. It's like my favorite thing to do. And like around Brooklyn specifically, I like have run into Don a bunch of times, just like painting murals with children. Like on the side of buildings and stuff. Yeah, great, beautiful person. And the 10th magazine was like a cool publication that had really, really like they were very tasteful, like not even tasteful, but I just thought they had taste. Like the images that they were putting out into their publications, I just thought were really beautiful. I thought the writing was like poetic because I was like very big into poetry back then too.
Yeah, I've seen you like did a performance once.
Yeah. They asked me to perform every now and then, and that's really a blessing too. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I feel like one reason why like this podcast is becoming so important to me is because how, a lot of us know each other. I feel like our community is just so intertwined. So what would you say your relationship is to New York City? Like, is it a long-term thing? Would you eventually like leave? Like, because you've been here how long now?
Yeah, so I moved here in 2016. So does that make this month my 8 years? There's some math. I think it's 8. I guess it'll be 8 years in a couple days.
Wow.
Yep. New York is home for me. This is definitely my home. I get excited anytime I'm gone and I get to come back. And especially in Brooklyn. I've been in the same apartment almost the whole time I've been here, with the exception of like 6 months. But I've been in this apartment the whole time, and it's looked many different ways. And I've done a lot of stuff in here. I used to have no furniture, and I just used this as a studio to shoot. And now it's becoming like my paint studio. And I have an office now, and I only have one roommate now. New York is home. Like I love that I can go to the delis and like they remember me, and they remember like I'll be with the person I'm dating, and they'll be like, "No Slim Jims today." I'm like, "Bro, that is private. I don't eat those." And I love everyone's birthday parties being out here, like who I know and who I've worked with. And I love like if I have a function, I know that like people who ride with me will pull up. I know that when MOBI puts on an event, like the girls will show up. I know that, and I love that. And one thing that really, really keeps me here too is that I have people here who will help me survive. And like if I can't get my medicine, or if I'm struggling to pay my rent, like people here will make sure like I have opportunities to work, or to pay the thing, or to figure out how to get my insulin for me, or whatever. And so those kind of things like keep me here. It's a long-term thing. So far, it is a long-term thing, but I definitely want to try somewhere else. And I could see myself being bi-coastal, or I could see myself coming back if I ever left. I do have a lot of stuff here. And so moving sounds like quite a chore when I look around. I'm like, how am I going to bring all this? But I'll figure it out when and if.
Where would you go if you?
I don't know. I think like the only place in my head is LA that I would live, because weather, beach, also similar work opportunities and a lot of people that I know. I will say most of the work that I've done this whole year, like probably 90% of it has been in LA.
Oh wow.
So they fly me out to LA to work a lot anyway. So that I could see that being like the natural next. It's not Atlanta, it's not Miami, it's not Ohio, unfortunately. Yeah, so it probably would have to be LA, and then like maybe down the line, like I would find a place in Mexico or Puerto Rico or Brazil or something to post up and live and be just like tan forever.
Okay, we didn't talk about Brazil. What was that like?
Brazil was nuts. It was so fun, and everybody was just like oozing sex naturally without it being like a big deal. And just because like here, like I feel it feels spectacle sometimes. Like here, like the States, sometimes it feels like too spectacle. Which sometimes like, hey, okay, cool, thanks. But then I quickly get overwhelmed, and it feels like too much attention. Whereas I'm just like, I just want to have my arms and legs out today. Like I don't want to. I'm not trying to cause the whole scene. And in Brazil, it felt like less of a scene, and felt like it felt nice and fun, and like it felt like everybody was on the same wave as far as that. But yeah, I went to Brazil for my friend's birthday. They have loved the music. And we went to Afropunk to see one of their favorite artists.
They have Afropunk in Brazil?
Yeah, we went to Afropunk for 2 days. We went to Afropunk 2 days, and we went to Everyday People, and we danced so much. I don't know, not a word anybody was saying, but the food was amazing. Everyone was just like beautiful and warm, and the food was like so thoughtful. I'm not really a foodie, but I was like super impressed with the food out there. I loved it. Was like very queer. It was very queer. Like I saw a lot of us out there. I saw a lot of people that I knew out there. I'm like, oh, is this where we're going next? I'm like, I don't know if this is problematic, but I'm glad everyone's having fun.
It's funny. I don't know if this is crazy to say, but I feel like Brazil and Egypt are like the polar like opposites.
Oh, really?
Like I feel like everyone in Egypt is like good looking, but they're conservative. But there's like this like other life that happens underneath, which we'll talk about off camera.
Interesting.
And then with Brazil, it's like everyone is beautiful and it's in your face. So I feel like there's like but back to you, and talking about body and beautifulness. Like we talked about your relationship to New York City. What is the relationship to your body?
That's an interesting one because I've always been in it. I've watched it change a lot of times, which is like crazy and scary sometimes. Even right now, I'm like, let me like hold it in while I'm sitting down and being like hyper aware of what my body's doing or what it like looks like. And I've always been that way since I was little. I can remember being not even in high school yet, like in middle school and younger, like being obsessed with like having a six-pack, and so I would just do push-ups in the shower. I would do sit-ups in the shower. I would like run around the neighborhood like obsessively for years, until honestly I was like running until I moved to New York, and then it's like not like as runny. I started I lived in the Bronx when I first moved here, so it was like,
what was that like?
It was crazy, and it was a little bit scary. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Like I was like deep, and I was like living in a basement. It was like some illegitimate basement. I used to take showers at the gym. White Plains, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was like very deep.
Yeah.
And I worked in the city, but my relationship to my body, yeah, was, we were just like shoved with like the big pecs and big arms and six packs, like, for life, and like to know like that's the attractive thing. So like my goal was like trying to get that, and I never got it, and I still don't have it. And so I'm like, okay, smaller, like let me figure out what my assets are, and find a way to feel sexy in my body without having like this image of like what sexy always has been, like this specific muscle, like, thing that was just not really achievable for me. So I as I moved here and I started experimenting with self-portraiture, like I just started seeing like what parts of my body I liked, or what parts of my body like I could like emphasize or celebrate, or how I can move in it and stuff like that. And naturally, just like certain things I started to appreciate, other people started to appreciate, and I was building like a new image of sexy for a man in my head, that is not, Abercrombie, whatever, or a football player, or whatever. So today, and you're catching me in an era where I'm like 20 pounds more than I normally am. I'm usually like around 140, but lately I've been like,
And what's your height?
5'9".
Okay. Oh my God. Just yeah. That's. I mean, because that used to be my. That used to be my old weight too.
Yeah, 140.
But I used to be like around 140 to 148.
Mm-hmm.
Then recently I got to 155.
Yeah.
And now I'm at 160, and I'm just
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening?
I'm like, this is not who I know of me as.
No, truly.
So I'm like, can I get back to that?
I know, and
do you like being like slimmer? Do you want to be more bigger built, or?
So I'm at 165 now.
Okay, so we're near the same.
Yeah, and my scale is like out of batteries right now, so I don't even know. But this is like it usually, like if I'm at 165, like it'll disappear and it'll go back down to 155 or something. But it hasn't. It has not. So this is like the heaviest I've weighed in a long time. And people keep asking me based off pictures I posted recently, like what the workout regimen is, what's the meal plan, and I just like don't skip as many meals as I used to, but I definitely do not work out. I am tired of running. Working out is so boring to me. I know I need to get my head into it before we tip the scales or something, but I bike to the city and back. And I also don't like public transportation, so I have to, if I can take my bike there and it can get me there in under an hour and change, like I bike to the beach a lot, so like it's like an hour and 20 minutes. But if I can get there in under an hour and a half, like I usually would take my bike. So I'm doing active stuff, and my equipment is pretty heavy, and little stuff. But yeah, my relationship to my body, yeah, that's what I would say. If you want to follow up.
There was, you also celebrate, your body in so many different ways. Like I remember just looking at like your Out 100, or it was like an interview you did for Out magazine. I remember seeing
yeah, that was for the book.
Yeah, you was like there, and I was just like, he is going there. And so like, why is it important for you to go there?
It's important for me to just like feel like I have agency over my own body. Like there have been a lot of like times where I have like, even like how I dress felt very policed, like even like from my dad or from my high school. And like I wasn't gonna like wear a thong to school or nothing like that, but like even if I just wanted to wear a velvet blazer with a little brooch on it, that felt like such a huge problem. And then like even with being out and gay and being in the gay scene, and people kind of take permission to your body in all these different ways that are like not feeling safe to me.
Why do you think that's like such a common thing? Is it because like we're supposed to be men and that's how we behave? Or?
I don't know, because I'm not like that. I don't like grab at people, or I'm not like a groper, or like I don't feel like I'm one of the I'm like a can I kiss you type of person. Yeah, so I don't know, but that type of stuff makes me feel really unsafe. And I was with my boyfriend from college for a long time. Well, it felt like a long time, and that's like all I knew. So then after we were not together anymore, and like there was like the streets essentially, it was like scary, and not it just like wasn't safe. Even not even just like people feeling like they have ownership over my body, but people just like smoking meth in front of me, or like not wearing, like lying about wearing condoms, or just being like not taking no for an answer, and then the groping, and then like all these things. I'm like, oh my God, get me out of here. But I'm like, I still want to feel sexy. I still want to be sexy, but like not in nobody's hotel room, and not in a club at nighttime, or not in like, there's certain places where I just don't want to do it, or I don't feel safe to do the sexy thing. So I'm like, but I could do it at home with my own camera, and nobody can touch me here. Like I'm the only person in the room. And so that became just like a solace kind of place for me because I want to be sexually liberated in the ways that I want to be sexually liberated, but I want to feel safe still. And I'm also an artist, and I'm also a photographer, and I'm also experimenting and figuring out my body, and I'm documenting the whole process like of my growth. And yeah, so like that and my art like really, really ended up being something that I like was just truly super important to me, and super important for me to feel good about myself too, and to stay active as an artist.
Continue being up to date with all things peace by following the links attached to this episode. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's wrap up the show.
You know, I feel like the more I sit with you, like the more I connect with you, and I'm like, there's so many directions I can go in right now. For one, you mentioned about the whole crystal meth thing. That is wild.
I was so frightened. I'm like, you know, do you whatever if you know how to do this responsibly, and like the person who's doing that, to my knowledge now, is like safe, doing fine, has a great career. Like, you know, that was years and years ago. But so if you know how to do your thing and safe and it's whatever, but I'm like, I don't want to be a part of those kind of things. I ain't never seen that before. So like those kind of things don't make me want to take my clothes off.
I have a story for you now. And this is so crazy that I'm even sharing this right now. So when I was in high school, I thought I was grown. You know, I grew up in New York City. Like this is where I'm from. You know, I know these streets. And so I went to school in Chelsea, and
in the city.
Yeah, and so like I was like my senior year of high school, I was on Jacked and Grindr.
Oh
wow. While like finishing senior, I had the worst senioritis.
Over it, truly. Get me out of here.
I can't tell you how many times, and at the time I had braces, so I would have like all these doctors and us being like, I have a doctor's appointment, I can't, you know, whatever. So I cut school one day because I thought I was gonna meet. I met this fine ass man, bald, dark skin, like he lived in Chelsea. Went to his house, cut school to go to his house, and I'm only just saying this because of what you just said. And so I went to his house, and you know, I'm 18 years old, and the guy's like 32, which is crazy, inappropriate, not cool. And but I thought I was grown. I was like, I know these streets. And so I remember I went to his house, and he was like, we're not having sex. He's smoking in front of me. He's like, we're not having sex. And I'm like, why? Like, he's like, oh, because you're a virgin, which was at the time, like, that's a whole other conversation. But like, I was not a virgin. And he was like, you need to go home.
Yeah.
And so I left. Then cut 2 years later. I don't know if you're familiar with Michael Rice. He did Party Boy.
Yeah.
I saw his documentary, and I did not realize that I left that guy's house while he was smoking crystal meth in front of me.
Yeah, you had a good thing you left.
And I didn't, because at the time I was just like, oh, he's probably smoking, like, because
you didn't know what it was.
I didn't know what it was.
I don't even know why I knew it was meth. I'm like, this isn't weed. I know it's not weed. And at the time, I didn't even really smoke weed. I'm like, I know this is not weed. This is not a cigarette. I'm like, it's a little cracky.
So did you know the name for it at the time, or you was just like, this is meth, this is?
No, I just knew. Like, I just knew. I'm like, this pipe, this is a meth. This is meth.
Oh
this
my
is meth
God.
happening for sure. It wasn't that long ago. It was like 4 years ago. Maybe,
okay. Was this in Brooklyn? Or?
Yeah, it was.
Why do you think our community is being so like? Why is that a thing?
I don't know. I grew up like a super goody two shoes. My dad was hella strict. I didn't smoke or drink or none of that until way later. I'm like just now in my like pothead era.
Okay.
So that was definitely foreign to me. I was like, no, I have to go. We're into different things. And I, you know, have fun. You're busy. He didn't put it down once. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be. This is crazy.
That's good.
It's so unattractive.
Yeah. You know, I mean, like, I'm going to circle back, but it was just like, I feel like that's such an important conversation to have in our community as like Black and same gender loving LGBTQI people. It's like there's a lot of people abusing drugs in ways that are not healthy to us and are damaging our community. So I don't know. I just connected with you in that way. The only difference is that I didn't have the knowledge that I have now.
Right. You were way younger. You were way younger. Like I was old enough to know. I was 25 or 6 or something at least.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But, you know,
18 is different.
I want to circle back to you and your work. Do you ever feel like, because you're so beautiful, you know, and all these things, do you ever feel like you know, either if it's capturing, you know, the subject that you're working with, or, you know, doing your self-portraits, that you're creating your work for future LaQuann Dawson.
Yeah, and past LaQuann Dawson. Honestly, like growing up, like like all the television that I watched, all the movies I like all the people I like were like the Pink Power Ranger, or like the girls with their bellies out on the Winx Club, or the girls with their bellies out on Pokemon, or like the girls with their bellies out anywhere, honestly. And I'm like, I want to be one of them bitches with the little harness bag on my thigh and some short shorts and just like giving directions or something. Like that's what I want to give. And so I'm like, I'm growing up and I'm embodying like these characters that like I admire in TV and movies and cartoons and stuff like that. So like it's definitely a lot for my inner child and my past self. And then also for other future LaQuanns, or like, you know, who need permission to dress a certain way or to express themselves a certain way. And I'm not hurting anyone. Nothing that I put out is like bashing or like hateful or like dangerous or anything like that. So I think if someone's like, if they can do this and they can exude confidence in doing it, like maybe I can too. And like I've gotten a lot of testimonials just based on my self-portrait stuff alone, of like, or just like how I dress when I like go to a party or an event or something like that, where people just are like, you gave me permission, you made me feel like I'm allowed to do this thing, and like people are not going to think I'm like gross or something, you know. And that's been like important, and that's like a beautiful affirmation to be given, because while I am doing it for other people, like I really am doing it for like younger LaQuann. Like anything like I do, I'm like even like down to like eating hot Cheetos. I'm like, little LaQuann like hot Cheetos, grown LaQuann like hot Cheetos too, and there's gonna be room for that in my life still, you know, because it's just like what I used to be drawn to, what I'm still drawn to. Cheap example, but
no, I mean, you know, I've noticed a lot of your work over the years because we are part of the same community. So I have always admired what you're doing and your personality. And it's also just really nice to know that you have like a warm heart. There are a lot of us sometimes who are, you know, have been made to be colder for whatever reason. And so I feel like that is the true essence of beauty, is when you are kind and it just radiates, like it literally radiates through you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So, but what would you say is like your, like the way you plan to expand your work? Because you've done coffee table books, you've been featured in the New York Times, you are the visual director for MOBI, like you're involved in so many different things, and you're just existing in your Capricornness. So that's just like nothing to you. You're like, let me get 10 more things.
Shut up.
So what would you say is like expansion looking like for you? Because you're also still so young.
Yeah, true. I'm 29. I'll be 30 at the end of this year. That is something I've been thinking about lately. What does the next step in my career look like? And it's like a tricky question, because I'm like, I don't want to keep redoing the past 3 years over and over and over again. So like I do need to expand. I do need to try other things. But it is a tough one. It's a tough one because a lot of my ambition, I feel like, has been distorted by things that happened in the pandemic, by opportunities that have been lost, by projects that I put a lot of effort into, and then that felt like at the end, after it was done, it wasn't. I don't want to say it wasn't worth the effort, but like what I thought the outcome would be was not.
Okay.
And maybe that's like I didn't get paid much for it, or I didn't get like a next opportunity like following it, or like the momentum died immediately after, or some of the people that I was working with like hurt my feelings or something, or even just like when I did all those documentaries for MOBI, which I thought is some of my best work to this day still, even though I did in 2020, just like didn't really get the eyes that deserve to see it. And so, you know, there are solutions to those things in the works. But yeah, a lot of that like kind of burnt out my ambition a little bit, and I also moved to New York thinking I was just gonna be like a workaholic, and I'll just like do my thing and become a millionaire and whatever. And like I've pivoted from that idea so much as I like grow and learn about myself and learn what like is actually important to me, which is like safety and love and rest and peace and the beach and stuff like that. So I don't know what expansion looks like, but I am working on a short film called Sugar Rush. I showed a preview of it a couple months ago in LA, and it'll be finished sometime this year, and I'll start screening. It is my first scripted short film, and it's about a boy who is struggling to get a refill on his diabetes medicine. And so I'm excited to see what that space looks like. I'm also painting a lot this year. I've been painting again. I used to paint when I was in high school, and I kind of, college dorm is like this big. So in painting, fine art wasn't my major, so it wasn't like a ton of room to be painting. And then New York apartments are also quite small, and you have to go to work. So like painting got lost. So like this year I brought it back. So I'm excited about what the film world looks like, and then what it looks like for me to keep on diving into like this fine art space and painting and even like sculpting and other things like that. I think for the rest of this year, I'm also interested in some more experimental like fine art type of photography. I do a lot of portrait work, a lot of community portraits, and I have done like a lot of event photography, and I would love to like get back in the studio and just like practice, because every time I pick up my camera and no time, I'll be shooting for 1 hour and then go home and edit for 1 hour, and like what I have like achieved, or like what I see in front of my screen afterward is like nuts. Like I'm so impressed with myself. I'm like, this is so fire. Like imagine if I had 12 hours of shooting and editing time to be able to turn some shit around. Like that shit would be gorgeous. So I'm trying to figure out how to get back into all that. Yeah, while trying to balance, like I need gigs, like because client work has taken up a lot, to where the personal work kind of gets hushed, because like I have to pay rent. I'm not about to work for free, even for me. And so it really is, the challenge is just like finding the time, finding the resources, putting your heart into something that you're actually excited about. Because client work isn't always like exciting. A lot of times it's for other people. Even if you care about it, even if you're passionate about it, it's still. And that's why I do self-portrait work too, is because it's just like, for me, nobody's like paying me to take a self-portrait. I don't even know if anyone has ever paid me or given me anything just to take a self-portrait. Like anytime.
Carterware? You're part of that, no?
Well, so Carterware was a collaboration between me and MOBI and Carterware, where Carterware let me design the swimsuits. Yeah, and they came in many different iterations, because I told you I used to design clothes for like that's what I studied in school, and that's what I was doing when I first moved here, was designing clothes and accessories and handbags. So I already knew how to design tech bags, and I already knew how to design patterns and patches and labels and make the measurements and all that stuff. So I did all that stuff and presented it to Derek Carter, the owner of Carterware. And we did a couple iterations. At first, the swimsuits were just black, and then they ended up being more vibrant as the next year came around. And yeah, and so we shot the campaign, like, was it before? When was it? It was the day before I left to go to Puerto Rico. We shot the campaign. I came home, edited all those pictures so that I could leave my laptop while I was gone. And then before I came back, like, it was all posted and released and stuff. And so that's what that was. That's nothing that I got paid for. That is, and then I had a client a couple days ago, where I just added an extra hour onto the studio time at the end and paid for the extra hour so that I could take a picture of myself in the swimsuit, just to promote the collaboration and the partnership and get more eyes on MOBI, because we have a festival coming up and we want people to come. And then on the Carterware side, like, they want to make their coin as well for the swimsuits. But yeah, that's the thing I got paid for. MOBI is it's a nonprofit. That's not what we're doing that for. That's not what that was. It would be cool though to collaborate with more designers to make pieces for queer people and queer bodies. That would be really fun for me. And it's nice to tap back into old skills and old talents and stuff and make them useful in today.
Wow, I mean, I just keep being blown away by you, and that's why I'm so glad to be sitting here and talking to you. Yeah, because I remember seeing that campaign. I was like, this is perfect timing. Like I just saw this, and I'm like, I have so many questions.
Yeah,
but like I also like you pivoting from photography to film. That was how I got started. Like I was shooting like Tumblr photos all the time during Fashion Week, and then I got into photography. to film. And so to see that for you, like, why do you feel like that has become an interest, especially the topic about like diabetes?
Yeah. Well, I told you the first time I ever pressed record on my camera was for MOBI Fest all those years ago. I had never done any film work at all, but I really liked what I was able to do in that. And I think a lot with still images, sometimes like people get to tell their story of like what your image says to them, and that is true with a lot of mediums. But I think with film, you get to take a little bit more control of like where the story is like going and like what is understood and what people catch and see, and like you get to use color and video and wardrobe and music and dialogue and writing and cutaways and like strategic editing and all these other like magical elements that like can't really put into a still image. So like still photography to a degree and to a point ended up feeling a little bit more limited, and especially with like trying to tell a story about diabetes, where I am in real life, in real time, as of a couple of days ago, do not have health insurance. I've had diabetes since my 1 year anniversary of living in New York, type 1, where I have to take a shot in the morning, and then I have to take a shot before every single meal, or if I drink something with sugar in it. And sometimes it's just like such a struggle to get my insulin, and it's like it's too expensive just to pay for. Medicaid's like cutoff is like $19,000, which is like ridiculous to even make such little money to be able to. So like if I make $20,000 a year, which is how much my rent costs essentially, then I am ineligible for Medicaid. And so that's where I'm at now, where I don't have health insurance anymore, and I have 3 months of medicine currently, and after that, like I have to figure out, in the meantime, I have to figure out a game plan of how to get like the next 3 months of medicine. And I don't see stuff about diabetes on television, and I have struggled to find like help getting my medicine outside of like medicine or Medicaid like cut arounds and stuff, since I'm not on my dad's insurance anymore. And so I'm like, someone needs to tell the story. And I've also had a friend named Christian who passed away because he ran out of insulin years ago. And he hit me up because we had just recently discovered that we were both diabetic, but me and my partner at the time were both out of town, so I couldn't get him like I couldn't let him borrow any because I was gone. And then when we came back to town, my partner at the time showed me his phone and was like, "Did you hear about this?" And my friend had died. And he was the first person, and we were like the same age, and he was a dancer. He's a black gay boy. We had come up on Tumblr together, and then we both moved here around a similar time. And so I'm like, this is like true community, and like if this can happen to him, like how far am I gonna make it?
Wow.
And so like I still think about that, and so that's where the film was like kind of like born. And after going through so many like bouts of, well, I get my medicine, or like running to the pharmacy and getting denied, and then calling this doctor, calling this person, and then going back to the pharmacy, and then like, oh, okay, I got it. And then it's like, okay, let's hope I can get it next time. I run out. And I just felt like that story needed to be told. And what my wish is for me to be able to get funding to do more films around the topic of diabetes, and like what low sugar looks like and what high sugar looks like and what it looks like to be denied Medicaid, and what it looks like just to be like a black gay person in New York City trying to survive with diabetes, and then just like see how those other stories can be told, so people can get like a different idea of like what diabetes is. Because like the most I ever really hear about diabetes is like, oh, you eat too much candy, you're gonna get diabetes or something, or like jokes about like weight or like food intake and stuff like that, without really knowing like what it is, what it feels like, what it requires. And I think that if I had more images like that in my life, or more stories like that like being told, like I would had not been so like aloof to it when I was like diagnosed. Like I did not know. Like I had to learn so much stuff like on the job.
Oh wow.
Where I think like I think with any like disease or sickness, like you're gonna go through that. But I think other things are a lot more well documented and talked about.
It's people sometimes make my vice is salt. I love salt, and people are like, don't do too much salt.
Right, high blood pressure.
Exactly. And so that's really interesting. And I also find that, which I'm I've been waiting to see Sugar Rush.
I know it's gonna be so. You're gonna love it.
Yeah,
the preview went so well. I was just gagged.
So what is the plan? I mean, because like first of all, like I love seeing like nuanced Black stories and then nuanced Black like queer stories.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like that always excites me, just because like for example, like I remember watching, I think it was some interview about Girlfriends. And Girlfriends was so revolutionary at the time because you got to see Black women eating sushi.
Nuts.
Like that was
small things.
The small things. So like the fact, oftentimes, which is important to be able to talk about HIV and sexual health, but to talk about like something as like diabetes is like something that like I've never heard of like a Black gay story about diabetes.
And like if my story was about HIV, I would have gotten funding for it too. Like I would have had an easier time getting funding for it. I like approached a lot of like diabetes organizations, like all of them. I approached all of them. They all told me no, that they don't do that kind of thing. And I'm like, can tell. I think like it's really powerful what happens with HIV as far as like the information being spread, awareness being spread, and those stories being told. Like we get a lot of it now, and that's like a blessing. And like I do wish that for just like for me, for my own health and for my own like being an artist who doesn't work a 9 to 5, figuring out how to get healthcare. Like I would love like more stories about diabetes to be told. So I'm trying to start telling them.
So where are you at with the project of Sugar Rush? Because I mean, there was a few of you guys, got a grant through GLAD, EMEI, Emmy, and so I know that there was a few, which I'm excited to see a lot of you guys' projects. Where are you in the process of Sugar Rush? I'm always excited about Black queer art.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah, so where I am with Sugar Rush is I'm waiting for my editor, which is my first time hiring an editor. I usually do on my own. But I'm like, I can't be in it, write it, direct it, and edit it, and do, I'm not doing all the things again because I want to learn from last time when I got so burnt out. But I still find myself like, just give me the files and I'll do the rest, please. So I'm currently in the space of like waiting for my editor to send me like the cut of the second half of the film. And we're almost done. I think he sent me a voice note a couple of days ago just saying he has a couple more edits to make and then I'll send everything over. And then from there, it needs to get colored. I need to get the second half of the sound mixed. I need to finish the score and then figure out like a marketing plan and whatever, and film festival submissions and all that. I've never done none of this formally. Like it's just like what I can do on my laptop myself. I'm definitely gonna ask questions because I don't know this whole like the dates and the, I don't know. This will be my first time and I'll learn on the job. Yeah, so that's where I am. We're like more than halfway done. Yeah. But I know you have to submit it to the festival and stuff. So like a next screening, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that looks like yet, but we'll see.
I mean, if anything, like you could possibly like do a private screening for like people who are interested, like me, and then like in the process of it, don't have it anywhere, but just to go through submissions.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
If you have any questions, I mean, I've been through the film festival circuit before, so I'm down to give any type of like.
Okay. Don't regret that.
I'm all about we're a community. It's all about like sharing the resources. Like that's how we like if it rains in your house, it's raining on my house too.
Love it.
So I want to know, because I'm going to conclude with this. Sure. How are you producing Peace?
I think that I told you that like when I first moved here, I thought I was gonna be workaholic and like all I was gonna be about. But just like the more I grow up, the more I'm like, I need the beach. I need to be outside. I need quiet time. I need to not work on Saturday or Sunday. I need to be in love and I need to like lay here and just do that and like let myself do that and not be so like attached and tethered to my laptop and to my work and to my emails and stuff. Because what I found, especially even just coming back from Puerto Rico where I was like unplugged as fuck, and I came back and like nobody died and there was no fire and like everybody they waited, and once I found out like that people could wait a second, that offered me some peace. That offered me a lot of peace because I'm like, I have to do this for this person. I have to do this for this person. I have to hurry up and respond. I have to not have sex right now because I need to be responding to emails. And like just stepping away from my phone and stepping away from my computer and like going outside, which is what my body just always wants to do. Like I always want to be outside or in the sun or laying down somewhere. That's how I produce peace, and inviting people to the beach is how I produce peace. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I'm glad to have sat down with you and like have this conversation.
Me too.
I feel
what
like
an
so
honor.
much more closer to you.
Me too.
I will. Please let people know where they can find you, socials and stuff like this.
Sure. My name is LaQuann Dawson. My work can be found at LaQuannDawson.com or at LaQuann Dawson on any social media. You can also find a lot of the work that I do at MOBI-NYC.com. We have a huge music festival and music and arts festival coming up June 2nd through the 9th. A lot of really cool events like outdoor stuff, music stuff, art gallery stuff, yoga stuff, stripper pole stuff, like a bunch of amazing, really, really, really fun stuff. And it's completely free. MOBI-NYC.com or at MOBI-NYC on Instagram.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was beautiful.